Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And to new players that are starting during the 2-year anniversary, which is going on now, welcome to the game. My name is Joker, as I just said, and today is, going to be part one of my updated 2023 beginner's guide to give people just a very brief overview of the game, the mechanics, certain things that people need to be aware of, and it's just to kind of get you informed and if you want to play the game or not. So if you're watching this as part of the 2 anniversary, welcome. There will be things to talk about, and if you're watching this in the future, then welcome anyways. I don't know what month it is that you're watching, but most of the things stay the same, so it won't be that difficult to transpose this information onto whatever's happening at that time. But this is a game based on that time I got reincarnated as a slime IP. Very obviously, we've had a collab with Konosuba. That's why he's dressed up like Megumin right here. But this is a turn-based battle game. So you take a turn, the enemy takes a turn, and back and forth and back and forth. It is not a real-time game. It is not what I would consider an RPG. It is a pretty standard hero collector game where you summon for units through a gacha system with currency that you can acquire in-game or buy your daddy's credit card. And you summon for specific characters, and then you do battle with those specific characters after making a team of them, which consists of 5 units, 5 supports, and a leader and a leader support, which sounds complicated, but it really just looks like this. So, your leader, your mainline units, and their supports. So that's pretty easy. The game is, again, done in turn-based format. Battles take place on a random field, and it is a orb system. So how I know Grand Cross has their card system where you use a level 1 card, you combine those two and it makes a level 2, and you combine those two level 2s and it makes a 3. This is kind of the same, but also not quite the same. So let's just go into a story mission right here, and I will give you an example of what's happening in-game. But when you're in the battle, there are 3 main things that you're looking at as far as gauges are concerned. So first off, you have this green bar, which is your health gauge. Underneath that, you have your alt gauge, and there are 2 levels to it, because you can either, for some units, just have a normal alt, or for specific units that are EX, you can use 2 full bars of alt and get even more power. Orange orbs will help you fill your alt gauge faster than anything else. Over here you have your skill points that you can use certain skills that have different costs associated with them. Every time you use a skill, the cost goes up by 20 points, and you can use it as many times as you have points available. So this cost 25, so I had 30, now I have 5. I'm capped at 100 on this team, but there are specific teams that can raise that 100 point cap to 999. There are certain units like this Milim that gives you 40 skill points every time you use her, which then would give me 70 in this case. But green orbs fill up your skill points the fastest, and then blue orbs allow you to use your protection character, your leader skill. And the entire game is based on who you are using as your protection character, as your leader, because what this character does greatly defines how your team is going to run. Whether it's a green focused, like a green orb team that uses a lot of skill points, or it's a protection team that allows you to just use this over and over and over because the effect is so strong, or you have a protector like this Milim who just makes extra orange orbs, which are Souls of Secrets, and that allows you to just get a butt ton of alt gauge very, very quickly. So depending on how they are built, you want to build a team around skills that are necessary for that, because this team is soft capped at 140 points most of the time. You can see this Megumin right here, she costs 80. That's a lot of points. So you sometimes don't really want to bring high cost units on a low cap team. You'd want to put her on her own team, which would be more geared towards a stacking meta, which gives you 40, 80, 100, 300 extra skill points to play with. So by the time you're ready to end the fight, you're sitting at 500 skill points right there. So that is another way to play. But so there are burst teams, there are stacking long-term teams, and there are defensive teams that you can play as. And then on top of that, sending orbs of the same color or the same character allows you to maximize the output. So I could just send these 3 orange orbs, and I can get a decent amount of alt gauge, a little tiny bit of blue gauge, and not a lot of points. But I can also send these other 2, and that gets me a lot more on everything else. And then I get a damage bonus when I send more orbs. So sending 1, 2, or 3 gives you nothing. Sending 4 gives you like 120% damage buff. Sending 5 gets you a 150, and sending all 6 orbs gets you a 200% damage buff on that last orb. Now, alongside that, we do have, I guess it's not shown right here, but we do have a color wheel, an elemental type advantage thing, so dark, light, fire, wind, water, earth, and space. They are all weak against, each other, so it just is that rock, paper, scissors kind of game that most gacha games have. It's very simple to work your head around, but now we have an alt for Shinsha, who is a new character for this game, an OG character, and we have a bunch of greens, which don't get us a lot of alt gauge or protection gauge, but get us a lot of skill points. So that's how the game is going to run. You're going to focus on one type of orb, one type of team, and you will play out, turn by turn by turn, and the idea is to just wear down the enemy using a bunch of different effects and skills to do so. Alongside, having the different colored orbs and trying to match them up, we do have skills that can change these orbs, like Ranga or Megumin have specific skills that can turn certain colors into other certain colors, therefore maximizing what kind of gauge you're going for. So these 4 blues don't give us a lot of alt gauge, don't give us a lot of points, but they give us a lot of protection gauge. So if you're working on a team that really needs a protector, then you should probably focus on blue orbs to get that as quickly as possible. One other thing is that because we have a 5-member team, you are able to freely switch out every single turn 1 unit for your 2 backlines. So if I don't want Shinsha up here, I can swap Trainee in, and that's a one-time thing, because now I can no longer swap Shinsha out. I could swap Trainee out for this Shizu, but now I am out of switches, and that is it for the turn. So now whatever I have up front, I have to live with, and I have to make that conscious decision whether or not I want them up front for their skill, to tank, to do damage, for whatever reason. So as of recording this video in October, this is the total list of battle units that you can have in the game. Some of them are free to play, like these level 120 units up here, this Sufia, this Frey, this Yom, Ramaris, Aaron, and Albus. These are free to play units. You get a free to play battle unit every single month just by completing missions and doing stages. You get a free to play protection character every single month, with being this Rigard, Soe, this Albus, Chloe, Dino, this Shuna, this Rimuru. So you are guaranteed to at least acquire 2 free-to-play units every single month, and it rotates every single month. But we'll talk about more of that in the next video. But then you have your summonable units, who are, these level 112s, these characters all down here. All of these characters are then summonable units. Some of them are 3 stars that I've leveled up to 6 star. Some of them are 5 stars that have leveled up to 6 star. And then the ones up here with the fancy background are EX 5 stars, and they get the fancy background, and they start at level 100. But the protectors, again, they define what team you're running. Like this Space Veldora down here, if we look at his kit really fast, he gives, every time you use him, he gives a permanent 10% space attack buff. He increases your skill point gap by 40 points up to 999. And then every single orb gets a 50% skill point increase for 250% after you use them 5 times. And that's for the end of the fight. So this is a long-term stacking protector where you're stacking space attack, you're stacking cost, you're stacking skill points on all your orbs. Versus, I'd say, Frey right here, who changes all of your orbs into greens and gives physical characters crit and then gives you 40 skill points. This is a lot of burst damage and meant to be used with low-cost skills that can enhance your damage in small ways to make you do a lot of damage very quickly. It's not built for, stacking up your main DPS unit to do millions of damage. You're going to do 700,000 damage instead of millions, but still, it's enough. But they are built for two separate things. The other team was built for blues, because you want to cycle protectors, because you want as many stacks as possible. With Frey, you want greens, because she changes to greens. And then she gives you physical crit, so you want a physical-based team to guarantee that you can get that crit. Then we have... let's see. Then we have, I think, this is another stacking protector, so the Shuna right here. She gives all allies Pierce Power and Stun Strike for 10% every time you use her. And again, raises your skill cap by 40 and gives you 100 points on blue orbs, therefore telling you that you want to run a blue-focused team with her. And to go alongside the protectors, who are again your leaders, they will, they are dependent on what you're going to run. These are your battle characters. So these are your 5 mainline units. You can have 3 up front with 2 in reserve, as you saw during that little piece of gameplay right there. You can swap them out 1 time per turn. So if you have 3 up front, you can bring 1 in, and you can't swap that 1 anymore. But every one of these units has different skills that are built for different teams again. So that Protector Shuna is made to go with this Raphael, who has 2 high-cost skills, but that's because that team is going to have a lot of skill points to play with. Meanwhile, this Milim right here is meant to be used on that Frey team with low-cost skills, 25, 15, changing blue orbs to greens because Frey is a green-focused team. Milim is physical, and she raises her own crit damage, which will go well with Frey giving physical allies crit. So therefore, you're just enhancing your own damage. So there's a lot of team combinations you can play around with. The game does kind of go in one specific direction every month, whether it be a green, an orange, or a blue meta. And if they're going to be magic or physical, or what color and typing they're going to be, that's going to be effective against the boss. There are a wide range of things that you have to keep in mind when building your team. Alright, I think that's going to do it for part 1 of the Beginner's Guide, a very basic overview of how the game runs, unit definitions, the orbs, and the gauges. We will be doing many parts of this. The next video should focus on summoning and the schedule of events that generally happens every month, and a little bit of team building aspect. So stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comments if this video helped you out, if any, because you know what, honestly, I'm kind of not sure about this one, but I'm going to post it anyway. And your feedback would be greatly appreciated in the future for other kind of beginners-focused guides. So let me know in the comments, but that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.